and the character is Elijah. So remember what I always say, I only do a character presentation on the 5th Sunday. So if you like it, we have a character presentation every 5th Sunday. And if you don't like it, well, we only have a character presentation every 5th Sunday. So, don't worry about it. Either way. Now, a little bit of background, because one of my favorite names in all the Bible is in this story, and I can't stop halfway through the story and tell you this name. But I have to tell you before I start. So Elijah was a prophet in the northern kingdom, Israel. And he prophesied in the time of King Ahab. And so he and King Ahab were pretty much mortal enemies. And so you can imagine King Ahab was not a good king. Well, King Ahab brought a woman in, a wife, from a different place. And her name was Jezebel. And with her, she brought the Baal, the god Baal, who is the god of fire and fertility, and so, thunder, lightning, crops growing, praise Baal type of stuff, okay? And it was a real threat to the northern kingdom for them to forget God and follow Baal. And so Queen Jezebel was his true enemy. But Jezebel was not her real name. Because in Hebrew, Jezebel means something that I'm pretty sure the queen would not have accepted as a name. Jezreel means to scatter. And Bel means poop. And so her name, if you really want to get technical on it, is manure spreader. So it's Queen Manure Spreader, King Ahab, and Elijah. So I had to put that in there before I started because I just love that name. But I can't do it in character. So, all right, here we go. I really don't know how I got here. I don't know what I'm doing. I have no clue how this happened. But here I am, in a cave, cold, wet, hungry, and the only people that are looking for me want to kill me. Wasn't supposed to go this way. Wasn't supposed to happen this way. I was having one of those pinnacle days. One of the greatest days of ministry for me. And I really don't know how I got here. Started once back when God called me. And God said to me, "Hey, Elijah, I need you to go to King Ahab. And I need you to tell him, because of him bringing in that wife Jezebel, and the fact that Baal is taking all the credit for the rain, that there will be no rain. A drought is going to hit this land until Ahab repents and worships me alone. Tell him that." And so I did. I went and I told Ahab exactly what God told me to do or say. And then God told me to go. And so I stayed by a small wadi, and I had water to drink, and the birds came and fed me, and it was okay. Except, in a drought, what happens to streams and wadis, right? They dry up, and that one dried up. And so God told me to go farther inland, and to go and stay with this widow and her son. And as I walked up to her and told her I was coming to stay with her, she said, "Oh, prophet, I'm going home. And this is my son and I's last meal. And then we will die. Because what we have in the bottom of our containers is all we have. There is no more. This is our last meal." And so I prayed. And I was with them for 2 years. And those jars never went empty. God provided that whole time. And even in the point where her son fell over and died, God still provided for the widow because I was able to go and put my hands on that young man and bring him back. And she saw the blessings of God and she praised God for it. And it was a good time. It was 3 full years. 3 years. And Ahab hadn't repented yet. And so God said to me, it's time, Elijah. It's time to go back. Go back to Ahab and call to account what is going on. Make them choose this day who they will follow. Will they follow me or will they follow Baal? And so I went back and I met Ahab. And I told him, I said, gather the prophets, all those prophets of Baal. Gather them on top of Mount Carmel. Call the people. Call all of Israel. Have Israel gather on the top of Mount Carmel. And I'll be there. And we will decide today who Israel will follow. Ahab agreed to it. And so early one morning, we all met on the top of Mount Carmel. 450 prophets of Baal and me, alone. And I said, Israel, it's time to decide. You've been limping along way too long, trying to follow God one day and Baal the next, and Baal and then God. This limping has to stop. It's time to choose a path, to choose your God, and to follow Him with all your heart. So I have this for you today. Today, you will make a decision. And I said to the prophets of Baal, hey, guys, is your God the God of fire? They're like, oh yeah, yeah he is. Okay, good to know. And I said, is he real powerful on this mountain right here where we're standing? And they're like, yeah, it's his home field. It's his mountain. I was like, okay, good. So he's the God of fire and we're on his mountain. Yes. Okay, I got context. So we're going to take 2 bulls. And these 2 bulls, you take one, I'll take one. You pick whichever one, I'll take the other. And then we'll build an altar. And whoever's God can bring fire from the sky and start that burning of the burnt offering. That's the God we will worship. Well, of course. I mean, what do you think the prophets of Baal are going to say? It's their God, home field advantage, his specialty. Of course they said yes. Plus there's 450 of them and one of me. And so I said, I'll tell you what, you all go first. So they made this beautiful altar. Of course there's 450 of them. They made this beautiful altar. And upon this altar they placed the bull. They cut him up just right, like you're supposed to. And they laid the bull on top of the altar. And then they began to pray. Nothing happened. And so they began to kind of chant, move around, dance a little. Nothing happened. 3 hours of this, and nothing. And so, I was sitting under a bush, getting some shade, and I just had to stand up. And I walked over to him. And you have to ask these questions. And I said, maybe your God is busy. Maybe he's in the bathroom. Maybe he's gone on a long journey. Maybe he's got a bigger problem over here. Maybe he just can't hear you. Why don't you guys jazz it up a little? Get louder. And so you know what they did. They got louder and crazier. And they cut themselves. And blood flowed. And they made all of this big statements. Because when blood is flowing, it's serious. And therefore God's mercies must Another 3 hours passed, of nothing but their loudness, and nothing, not even a cloud in the sky. Only the sun, marking the futility of their efforts. So it got close to the time of an offering in the evening. And I said, all right, I'd like to try now. And I gathered 12 stones, just 12 stones. And I heaped them up in a pile. It wasn't anything fancy. But I said, and I reminded to the people, you are the 12 tribes of God. He claimed you when you were in slavery. He brought you through the desert. He delivered you to the promised land. This is your God. And upon that altar I laid the bowl. And then I backed up a little and I said, hey, why don't you guys get some water? And they went and got water. And I said, pour it over the altar. Right on the meat. Just pour it out there. And so they dumped it on there. I said, do it one more time. So they went out a second time and they dumped it. I dug a trench around it. And I said, hey, do it again. And they dumped water again. And so much water came that not only flooded over the altar, it filled up the trench that I had dug around it. There was water everywhere. Everything was soaked. There's no way. There's no way. I bowed my head. And I said, Lord, God, hear my prayer. Show these people this day that you alone are God. Turn their hearts so that they may follow you again. I barely finished the last word when fire came from the sky. It came down and it consumed the altar. It didn't light the fire. It consumed the altar. It reached out into the trenches and it lapped up all the water until it was bone dry all the way around and everything was gone. And there was no doubt among anyone on that mountain. Our Lord God was the God to follow. And the people seized the prophets of Baal, and we did what we had to do with those prophets of Baal. And I went to King Ahab in this moment of glory, and I said, King Ahab, it smells like rain. Why don't you take a quick eat, and then we'll head down the mountain. And I walked off, and I prayed, Lord, let it rain. And I looked up. There's nothing. I went back. Lord, let it rain. I looked up, and there was nothing. I went back. Lord, let it rain. And I looked up, and there was a cloud, no bigger than my fist, off in the distance. But when you have faith, that's all I needed. And I ran to King Ahab, and I said, you better get down this mountain, because the bigger rains are coming. And you're going to be stuck up here, or you're going to get down. And he took off, and I followed him, and I chased him, and I was expecting a moment of glory when we got to his palace. And instead, as the rain fell, I got Queen Jezebel. And Jezebel said to me, I'm going to kill you. You embarrassed me. You killed my prophets. You shamed my God. You don't deserve to live. May the gods deal with me ever so harshly if you aren't dead by this time tomorrow. I ran, scared to death. I looked into the face of pure evil and it didn't blink. And I lost heart. Yeah, I ran. On what was supposed to be my biggest day of ministry. Turned out to be my worst. And I went and I sat by a stream under a tree and I said, Lord, just kill me now. But he fed me and pushed me on. And I followed the exact path that God led his people into Egypt, or into Israel. I went out until I got to the mountain of God, where the 10 Commandments were given. And I found a cave. And I hid. And it was there in the moment of my hiding that God came to me and he said, Elijah, what are you doing here? And I said, Lord, I've been very zealous for you. I've followed all your commands. I've done everything you've asked, and there's no one left but me. There's no one left but me. And even myself, they are seeking my life, and so here I hide. And God says, go to the mouth of the cave. So I took my mantle, my coat, my cloak, put it over my head, and I walked towards the front of the mouth of the cave. And as soon as I arrived at the mouth of the cave, there came a mighty wind. Oh, it blew down trees. It moved rocks. It blew so hard. It thundered in your ears with the sound of it. It was huge. It was powerful. It was mighty. But God was not in that. And no sooner had the wind passed than all of a sudden became the shaking of the ground. And an earthquake happened. It was powerful, and rocks were being split in two, and rocks were falling off the top of the cave, and I feared for my very life. But God was not in the earthquake. And no sooner than the earthquake passed, here came a huge fire. Just powerful, strong, raging, racing across the plains, racing in front of my eyes. And as it passed me, I noticed God was not in the fire. And then there was silence. Quiet. Stillness. And in the stillness, I heard God. And he asked me again, Elijah, what are you doing here? I said what I said before. I said, I'm alone. I'm being sought to be killed. What should I do? God said, Elijah, I've been with you from the very first moment of your ministry until now. No one has laid a hand on you and no one will. And you're not alone. There are thousands of other people who have not bowed to Baal, who have not given in to worshiping Baal, but are worshiping me and me alone. And Elijah, they need you. They need you in front of them to lead, to show, to demonstrate that you are not afraid of this world, that you are not afraid of the people of this world. You have a mission, and you have a ministry, and you need to do it. So I need you to go. Go from this cave. Go anoint the new king. Because Ahab isn't going to be king much longer. And Elijah, I hear you. You say you need a helper. So you go and you anoint Elisha. He will follow you. He will be with you. He will support you. And he will be what you need. And Elijah, the people need to hear you. Speak my word. That day I found that strength lies only in God. Not wind, earthquakes, fires, kings, queens, rulers, principalities. Strength comes from God when we sit and we listen for the still, small voice that is Him. I'm not going to tell you the rest of my story. We're going to stop there. But you all have a moment now at this communion table where there's not going to be trumpets blowing, there's not going to be mighty sounds, there's not going to be some great revelation. But in the stillness, in the quietness, in the meditation of your heart, God will be there. And He's going to ask you a question, just as He asked me. What are you doing here? Here. What are you doing here? And I don't know what He's going to tell you next. But listen, because God is speaking to you right now.
Amen. Amen.
Right now. And God bless you all. Real good. Amen.